Hayward Podworks. 100 shows, one vision.
Our sources explain it all. For more information on upcoming shows or to suggest shows, email brianhayward2026@gmail.com. And now let's get into our show. Hayward Podworks is vision, deep dives into any topic.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. This is where we break down insights from really specific sources to give you knowledge you can use, like right away.
Yeah.
Today we're tearing into a guide that's all about performance and, getting rid of those roadblocks. It's called Overcome Excuses: How to Stop Procrastinating and Get More Done While Staying Happy.
Oh.
Now, you know the drill. It doesn't matter if you're running a startup, you're on a finance team, or even structuring educational programs. There are always those tasks.
Oh, yeah.
The bookkeeping, the documentation, all the follow-up math, the stuff you just want to shove under a mental couch.
Right.
Putting off the tedious stuff feels universal. But this guide shows us that giving in costs way more than we think. So our mission today is to unpack this really counterintuitive idea about procrastination. The truth is, it doesn't save you a single second of time or mental energy.
No, not at all.
In fact, it actively drains your energy, it hurts the quality of your work, and maybe most critically in the professional world, it just hammers your reputation.
And that last point is so vital. I mean, for you, the listener, you're often a self-starter, right? An entrepreneur, a freelancer, someone driving a project without a boss looking over your shoulder.
Exactly.
For you, efficiency isn't just a bonus. It is the direct engine of your profit, your reliability, and your well-being.
Yeah.
This deep dive is about seeing the high price of that self-sabotage so you can just avoid paying it.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Starting with this central paradox that on the surface feels kind of impossible.
Yeah.
So the source material argues that procrastination hits you in two ways at the same time, and they're both destructive. It forces you to work both slower and harder.
Right.
Which feels wrong. Avoiding a task should feel lighter, but the source insists the exact opposite is true. So how does this double whammy actually play out?
Well, it plays out because avoiding the task is never actually relaxing. You're shifting your focus, your cognitive load somewhere else. So the slower part happens first. You spend way too much time on the fun stuff, the enjoyable, low priority tasks, just to avoid that one big difficult one. This isn't efficiency. It's just high level displacement.
Can you give us an example of that, like a real-world one?
Sure. Let's ground this with some high-stakes examples. Think about a business person who spends, say, 3 extra days doing deep research on market trends.
Okay, research feels productive.
It does, but they're doing it to avoid the moment they have to load all that data into a spreadsheet and actually run the financial models, the part that gives the real answers. Yeah. Or think about an entrepreneur who's just endlessly tweaking the colors on their website. Or adding more bonus content to a product.
Right, things that feel like work.
Exactly. But it's not because it's needed. It's because they're dreading writing the final critical sales copy, the part that actually makes money. You slow down the entire business just by over-investing in the parts that feel comfortable.
And that over-investment in comfort, that has to be a huge mental cost.
Yeah.
Right? Because while you're doing the fun stuff, that dreaded task is still just sitting there nagging you.
Absolutely. It's a constant mental drag. And once you've wasted all that time being slow, that's when the harder mechanism kicks in. The clock is ticking now.
And you're out of time.
You're out of time. So you face this brutal choice. You either delay the whole project, which costs you money, or you have to sprint. You have to work so much harder on that unpleasant task just to hit the original deadline.
And when you choose that sprint, when you rush the thing you already dislike under all that pressure, the quality has to suffer.
Immediately.
There's just no room for error. A tiny mistake that would have been an easy fix before is now what? A catastrophe.
It becomes catastrophic because you literally have no time to correct it. So that leads directly to more errors and a lower quality result. And that really is the highest tax you pay, the cost to your reliability.
Your credibility.
Your credibility. The guide uses this great example of a professional who publicly sets a delivery date and then just misses it. You might eventually deliver something amazing, but the damage is done.
Right.
Your peers won't trust you for big projects because you're seen as unreliable, and your customers just see you as someone who breaks promises. That loss of trust, that reputational capital, is incredibly expensive to rebuild.
It's just so interesting how we think we're protecting ourselves from pain by putting the task off, but we're actually making it harder and, increasing the amount of effort it'll take in the end. It really is a lose-lose. And that psychological truth, that leads us right into the internal barriers we face. Mm-hmm. It goes beyond just, being afraid of a tedious task.
Yeah.
The source points to a really major psychological hurdle, which is this belief that for work to be good, it has to be a struggle.
This is such a deeply ingrained belief. We often learn it in school or, our first job. We think that if we solve a problem too quickly, it must have been, haphazard or careless.
Like you cheated somehow.
Exactly. We subconsciously feel that quality requires suffering, and that makes people slow down when they don't need to.
But that's not the reality anymore, is it?
Not at all. Look at the modern world, especially in, the startup scene. Project deadlines almost always have some buffer time built in. So if you can finish before the deadline with really high quality, you don't look sloppy. You massively boost your reputation.
You become the go-to person.
You become the go-to person, the one who delivers early and does it well. I mean, that's the definition of a miracle worker.
So the key takeaway here is that in today's world, this super competitive, content-driven world, speed matters just as much as deep, high-level work.
Yeah.
You have to get rid of that fear that working quickly somehow devalues what you're doing.
Absolutely. If you always need 5 times the necessary buffer because you don't trust your own quick output, someone else who can deliver both speed and quality will just pass you by. That lack of self-trust is a direct roadblock to your own success.
Okay, so here's where the guide takes a really important turn. Because it's not just about working faster. It's not advocating for working nonstop until you burn out.
No, definitely not.
This brings us to mandatory self-care. It really challenges that old idea that sacrificing your health or your social life is some kind of badge of honor.
Working nonstop is just a fast lane to burnout, and burnout is the ultimate enemy of getting things done efficiently.
Yeah.
The guy's recommendation for mandatory breaks is actually rooted in neuroscience.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Most of us can only maintain the intense, deep focus for about 45 minutes out of every hour.
Only 45 minutes. And in that last 15, that's where our brain just starts to wander.
Precisely. That 15-minute mark is where boredom kicks in, your mind wanders, and you start making these sloppy, critical errors. The kind of errors that cost way more time to fix later than the break would have cost in the first place.
So the 45-15 rule.
A 45-15 rule. 45 minutes of intense focus, then 15 minutes completely away from it. It's non-negotiable if you want to keep producing high-quality work over time.
And this has to be about more than just stepping away from the computer.
Well, it needs to be holistic. The guide really stresses that neglecting your physical health, whether it's, gaining weight from sitting all day or having a poor diet, it actively damages your ability to think clearly.
Yeah, I felt that. Skipping lunch and then you just crash.
That's it, exactly. Skipping meals leads to low blood sugar, you get sugar crashes, you lose focus, you're fighting hunger instead of solving problems. We need that stability.
And I think people really overlook the social part too. If you're always locked away, sacrificing time with family and friends, that resentment or tension in your own home, it acts like this low-grade, constant stress.
It absolutely does.
And that stress takes up brain space, right?
Yeah.
It reduces your ability to focus, even if you're sitting at your desk.
It really does. You can't reach peak professional performance if your foundation, your physical health, what you're eating, your social support is falling apart. Self-care isn't a reward for the work. It's the fuel for the work.
So with those internal barriers handled, let's switch gears to the actionable stuff, the strategies for managing our external world. This is about making your environment an asset, not a liability.
Okay, so we have to start with what the guide calls controllable distractions. These are really just forms of procrastination that we actively allow into our space.
Like social media.
Social media, notifications, emails. The solution is, well, it's brutal, but it's necessary. If it is not essential to the task you are doing right now, you have to log off or silence it.
Okay, wait. For a lot of our listeners, maybe they're in digital marketing or running a brand, logging off of Facebook or LinkedIn it's like hanging the phone on their business. How do you score that?
That's a fair point, a real friction point. The
Yeah.
key is to be honest about the task. If your task is not social engagement, say you're running that financial model we talked about, then the platform has to be closed. Period.
And if you do need to monitor something,
If you need to monitor a chat stream, you have to set all the notifications to mute and away, and you keep that browser window minimized behind your main project. The goal is uninterrupted time.
makes sense.
And if you can't trust yourself not to get sucked in during your 15-minute break, well, the rule is firm. You wait until the workday is completely over to check your personal stuff. Self-discipline starts with just removing the option.
Right. If it's not the task, it's a distraction. Okay, so now let's talk about the really tricky stuff. The uncontrollable distractions. The loud neighbor, the dog barking, the vacuum cleaner, things you can't just turn off.
Right. Those need management, not elimination. First, you talk to the people around you, discuss your work schedule and your need for a quiet window with your family. They might not be able to be perfectly silent, but just communicating your needs is huge.
And for the noise you can't control, the leaf blower next door.
For that, the solution is physical. And it's low tech, but it works. Good quality earplugs or even just simple cotton balls, they block out enough sound to let you keep your focus.
I love the simplicity of that. We always look for a complex tech solution.
Sometimes the simple things are best. And for pets who want attention, try to keep them out of your work area during those 45-minute focus blocks. Then use your 15-minute breaks to give them that attention and play with them. It helps them, and it's actually a great restorative break for you.
That's a great tip.
And don't forget the obvious stuff. Mute the ringer on the landline or turn the answering machine volume down to 0. We let the simplest things derail our focus.
So once the environment is locked down, we can bring in the tool that ties it all together. Gamification. This is how you make the work feel rewarding and measurable.
Yes. The game requires you to track your time diligently. You have to log your exact start time, when you take a break, when you come back, and when you finish. Use a timer. And record it honestly in a simple log file like a spreadsheet. This gives you undeniable data on how efficient you really are.
And the real power comes from the estimation part. So before you start that task, you're dreading, let's say it's compiling quarterly tax documents, you create an honest estimation of how long it'll take.
Right, an honest one.
And if you beat that time, you get a reward you decided on beforehand.
And that reward has to be meaningful to you. It could be some dedicated leisure time, a small purchase you've been putting off, or just high-quality family time with no work interruptions. It's direct positive reinforcement for being efficient.
And what if you miss the estimation?
If you miss, the rule is critical. You look at your log to see where the time went, but you never inflate your next estimation to make it easier. You have to keep an honest baseline to actually improve, not just to, game the system for a reward.
Okay, so let's tie this all together with the final goal. Staying on time, or even better, ahead of schedule, is the fundamental requirement here. It's what guarantees you can actually afford to take those 15-minute breaks and stay healthy, and that prevents that whole destructive cycle of working harder and faster and losing quality.
That consistency is your professional currency. If you miss deadlines, even if the work you eventually turn in is great, people start to question if they can rely on you. And that skepticism means your competitors gain ground, you lose out on key partnerships or promotions, your customers lose trust. Your reliability isn't a soft skill, it's a hard asset.
Which brings us to the ultimate rewards, the motivation. Why do all this? So what does this all mean for the listener's, entire life?
The rewards really stack up in a beautiful way. First, you get the monetary payoff. More profit, a better salary, because you're finishing the things that actually generate revenue and you're doing it faster.
Of course.
Then you get the reputational boost. You become that highly desirable person who's known for being consistent and delivering quality. That attracts better partners, better clients.
And then there's the internal part.
And this, I think, is the strongest fuel of all. It's the emotional reward. You have to actively focus on that psychological payoff of just being done. That feeling of relief, of elation, of joy, like winning a really tough race. That feeling when a huge, dreaded project is finished and it is off your plate.
That's the best feeling.
It's the best. And that feeling is the strongest internal driver you have. You have to use the thought of that feeling, that sensation of victory, as the energy to power through the tough stuff.
That is the essential deep dive. We've laid out that procrastination is this energy trap that makes you work slower and harder. We learned that speed and quality are both modern necessities, and we gave you the 45-15 rule, backed by neuroscience, to start burnout.
Mm-hmm.
We've gone through how to manage distractions from your social media feeds to just using simple earplugs, and we showed you how to gamify your own efficiency to get real results.
And we close with this idea that the ultimate goal is securing your credibility and chasing that incredible emotional reward of being finished. But here's a final thought for you to mull over. We learned to track our time honestly and reward ourselves for beating our own estimates. But what if you start finding that you're consistently finishing projects faster than your initial honest estimates? Does that absolutely mean your confidence and your skill have genuinely grown? Or are you secretly padding the next estimation? Just a little, subconsciously keeping the game easy enough to guarantee you get that reward. Think about whether you're really measuring your peak performance or if you're just managing your own comfort.
Hayward Podworks. 100 shows, one vision.
All right, this is Hayward Podworks, and that's today's episode. If this helped you, do me a favor, hit follow, leave a quick rating, and share it with one person who'd get value. Want the extras, links, and new drops? Check the show notes. Until next time, stay sharp, stay consistent, and keep building. Hayward Podworks. We'll talk soon.